welcome to this evening's episode 49 of our Facebook Q&A. And last couple of weeks, or last week, we were doing an interview with John Melton, and thanks John for joining us on Facebook. It was really great to talk about program management and particularly working with organisations. Some of the little nuggets of information we had some great feedback on this week that I think would help companies who are in this game working with vendors, how to manage their vendor-partner relationships better. So thanks for that insight, John. If you've got any questions and you wanted to ask us any questions on Facebook, just go onto our website at vineresources.com. You can send us a question in our chat box. We've got an instant chat on the website and we'll answer some of those questions. But this week, we wanted to bring another guest on who we wanted to introduce you to. His name's Andy Labrum. We'll bring Andy on in a moment. He's going to join us via Skype video. Andy's been working in change management for a good part of 10 years now, or seven or 8 years, and worked with a number of organisations helping them implement change. And I really wanted to bring Andy in because Andy's been contracting for a long time. He's very knowledgeable about the industry. He has worked with a lot of different organisations in managing their change. And I thought it'd be great to just ask Andy a few questions that we can share with our audience. So I'm going to grab Andy on the call now, and hopefully the technology works today, and we'll have a chat with him. So let's get that going. Right. And I will turn my phone down so my phone doesn't ring. Always one thing I forget. Right. Here we go. Andy.
Hey, how you doing?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Not at all. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. Appreciate it. Thank you.
You are more than welcome. And by the way, first of all, it's thanks for being brave and coming on to Facebook Live. So
yes.
And for if you're watching this later on LinkedIn, Andy's very kindly offered to share some of his insight and wisdom in change management. So this is completely unscripted. We just want to chat about it. So Andy, do you mind me asking if just to introduce you to our audience and our listeners and viewers?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about what change management is.
Yeah, certainly. For me, change management is very much more around the implementation. It's actually more about embedding something correctly. Project manager. I've done both. I've been a project manager and a business change manager. As a project manager, it's much more around the installation of something. So it's almost like a widget versus the people side. And people talk about softer skills, but it's a lot more than that. It really is much more about building trust and that honesty and integrity and everything else is a huge part of it. And I think organisations are getting much more aware of the importance of it now, much more so than they have been previously. They're still seen as a little bit pink and fluffy to some extent.
Yeah.
But it's so important.
And of course, you've got lots of different parts of that change within an organisation, from the processes, the technology, but most importantly, generally the people, and getting their buy-in and support and coaching them through that change. What often is the biggest? There you go. I've got a call now. What often is the biggest challenges that you often face when working on change programs for companies?
Yeah, of course. Certainly the organisations that I've worked for previously is very much around the cultural and behavioural issues. So, people who work within organisations for many, many years, they're certain, they're used to their ways of working, and people generally just don't really like change. Change is a bit of pain, or it can be, unless people really understand what's in it for them. Change can be seen as being painful, and people just want to move away from that and move to something that they'd much rather do. Mm-hmm. So unless you really get to understand and help them to understand what's in it for them, that's always going to be the biggest issue, really. So that deeply ingrained cultural and behavioural issues can be a bit of a challenge. Yeah. And the other thing, Dave, as well, is that really good leadership, that change leadership. So someone very vocal within the organisation that's really keen to promote something and actually spend time and invest and actually be very vocal in that change. I think that's a huge part of it as well. Organisational readiness, these sort of things. We talk about lots of different stuff really, but they're the sort of key issues really. Having someone who's vocal and getting that middle management, that that supervisory support is a huge part of it as well. So whenever I've been involved in any sort of change program, really trying to win the hearts and minds and get the supervisors to understand, those that are managing the frontline teams, getting them to understand why it's happening, what it is that's happening, and how to really to promote it, and how, what is in it for them is a huge part of it, that buy.
What, just talking about, I mean, obviously, and I know you're a contractor as well. You've been working with many different organisations across industry within change. What, out of interest, I mean, why do companies tend, and just for our viewers, why do companies tend to bring in someone perhaps on a contract basis rather than use their in-house permanent resources for change projects, or could potentially do that?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question. And why would people do that? A huge part of that, Dave, is very much around the understanding the skills and the knowledge and experience that you brought in from other organisations. So it's quite easy to be fixed in a certain mindset. You know your organisation very, very well, but you don't know. So my background is predominantly public sector, and prior to becoming project manager in business change, I was in policing. And so, resilience of being able to deal with, challenging stakeholders. These are all things that I'm used to doing, and people from outside an organisation can come in with a slightly different mindset, and just look at something with fresh pair of eyes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. What does that first 100 days then look like in a change program? I guess obviously it depends on the size and the stakeholders involved, but what does it typically look like?
Yeah, that first part is very much around getting to know your team. So getting to know the strengths of your team, and the first thing is very much around information gathering. Trying to find as much information as you possibly can, as quickly as you can. Working out the, what is actually in it for them, what is the reason for the change. And I say it's very much around that, the risks, what are the benefits, the disbenefits of doing this program. Understanding your stakeholders, what stakeholder analysis is being done. So really getting to grips with, with the key players. How do you shift people's mindset to get into the right frame of mind to actually encourage the change? Where does business change fit within the program? So, what are the key deliverables that need to be in place and need to work with the milestones of the program as well? And there can sometimes be a little bit of conflict there. Yeah. There can be a bit of conflict between the program and business change activities, because the business change manager and people working alongside really understand where the rub is, really understand where the blockers are, and trying to sometimes get that over. And there can be a bit of a clash between the program milestones and whether an organisation is actually ready to deliver on time and really get that successful investment.